Welcome back to Awakening TV. I'm heart expert and the author of the book Awakening to Your Story, Alicia Hartzell. Today I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about. We have a question that came in from a viewer, and as I started looking at it and kind of digging into it, I was like, I haven't thought about this in quite this way yet, and I'm so excited to bring it to you. Before we jump in, I want to say thank you to all the people who have left your comments and questions. This platform is designed to support and help you along your journey. And what I bring to you is designed specifically for you in mind. And I just want to offer up, please keep those questions and comments coming. I can't do this without your input, and I'm so blessed and grateful for each and every person who watches and interacts with me as we create this space together. Now, on to this week's topic. This is the question that I received. I know this question sounds a little silly, but I feel a little bit in the dark. Everyone talks about being the change that you want to see in the world, like it's no big deal. My question is, how do you do it? Being myself doesn't seem to make any kind of change, and so I'm a little bit confused on how to be the change you want to see in the world. Now, as somebody who makes memes for social media, the little photos with the one or two line inspirational quotes, be the change you want to see in the world is one that's out there all the time and that you see. And, sometimes if you stop and you think about what those are trying to get you to do and what those are trying to bring out inside of you, you're like, but I don't know how or what. And so I love kind of digging in and let's get juicy about how we actually become the change that we want to see in the world. So, I love doing hard actionables 3 a week, and our first one for this week is understand what it is you want to change. Now, there's so many things that are kind of coming at us and bombarding us and being lumped together in our minds. And if you want to really become a change and be the change that you see in the world, you got to know what it is you want to change, right? So I just recommend getting conscious, right? Start taking apart the vocabulary that runs through your head, all the different things that pull at your heartstrings, right? Start sifting through them. And with that conscious mentality, use that to kind of look and filter through and figure out what it is that you want to create change for, right? Understand what you want to change in the world. For me, I saw so many people suffering and going through pain and having this kind of chasm between what it is they wanted versus what it is they thought they could have. And since I was young, I've seen this. And when I was little, if someone was hurting, I wanted to be there, put my hand on theirs and say, it's okay. That is one of the changes that I wanted to create in the world. But I had to boil it down. I had to think about it. What is the why for me? So many people bring that essence of love and creation of truth and life to the table of humanity, but I do it in a very unique way that is woven together with my details and my story. Right? So, you can look at so many different things, right? Equality and racism and humanitarian efforts and education and rights. And there are so many things out there. Figure out what it is. What is the language around it? What is it that you want to create change and why, right? You got to boil it down. For me, as I boiled down all these things that I was seeing it play out in people that I tried so desperately to figure out how to help them fix, it all came down to unconditional love, right? To creating love and being able to sift through all the limiting things that created condition and really step into the ownership of that, right? But I then had to know what it was that I was creating. You've got to understand the change that you want to see, right? Hard actionable number 2 is own the essence of the truth on the other side of that change, right? So for me, if you get caught up in watching all the pain and struggle and challenge, the thing that draws you and pulls at your heartstrings wanting to make the change, if you focus all your attention there, you will never be able to create change, right? Because you will be so desperately tied to the suffering. So your job is to create an intimate connection with the truth on the other side of the change. I talk about this a lot, right? We live in a place of duality. There are two things moving together at the same time: the limiting belief that is calling and begging to be healed, and the truth on the other side of it, right? Your job is to step in and create ownership for that truth. So, for me, if I would have stepped in and seen all the suffering and the pain and gotten into the gutter with the people who were hurting and been wrapped up in that story of the disconnection and of the suffering and of the challenge, I wouldn't have been able to pull up out of that place to find the truth and then figure out a path or a bridge back to that truth. You've got to recognize the truth, then create powerful and intimate ownership for what that means and what that looks like. That's your job. You have to be the truth, right? To be the change, you have to be it, but you cannot be it until you know it. You've got to know it in every fiber of your being. You've got to spend more time in the truth than you do in the illusion, in the pain and the challenge, right? And that's enough meaty homework there. You spend all that time creating ownership there, and you start to slowly become it, right? You start to slowly become, for me, it was becoming the essence of love. I spent so much time figuring out what that meant for me and figuring out what that meant universally, that once I knew it, I could bridge the gap back and forth. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? Now, we may not know the path, right? So often we're like, be the change you want to see in the world, and then it creates the change. Don't get stuck on trying to figure out what the path is, the bridge back and forth. That comes, the universe offers it up to you. Your job is to pay attention to what it is you want, to create ownership for the truth, intimate ownership for the truth, where you know it and it's undeniable and it's unwavering, right? You create so much ownership for that thing that it becomes part of who you are, right? And that leads us into the third and final hard actionable for this week. Don't give up when you feel like it's not happening, when you feel like you're not seeing the change. It has to be unwavering. So often there are days that go by where I feel like I'm not impacting anyone. I'm not affecting people. I'm not creating enough of whatever it is that I'm supposed to create to bring what I'm supposed to bring to the table of humanity. Do not give up. If you are the change that you want to see in the world, it is yours. It is who you are. And it doesn't matter if you are creating ownership for that in a vacuum, in a room all by yourself in the dark, or you're creating it to 25 people or 10 people or 100 people or thousands of people, right? The universe, the divine, whatever it is you believe in, will bring whoever it is that you need to bring, that you can offer it up at the table of humanity, right? If you're designed to bring that change to the table of humanity, the people who need you will be there. That change will happen once it's within you. So don't waver. Don't unplug just because you're not having the effect that you think that you should be having in the world. This is where people jump off and they get frustrated, right? You know, first hard actionable, you know and understand the change that you want to create. Then you own the truth of what that means. And then you don't give up because it is who you are. to be the change that you want to see in the world, it has to be. And that may be in the quiet, and it may be out in the open, but it is unwavering, right? So think about that as you kind of step in and you start to be the change that you want to see in the world, whether that's in your home or in your community or at the table of humanity at large. Know that your essence of love and creation of truth and expression of life are valuable to the table of humanity. They're completely unique. You are the only you this world is ever going to know. And all those things are miraculously valuable. So show up. And in that showing up, you will be the change that you want to see in the world. Until next week, know that I am holding a place of love and appreciation for all that you are, for the messy, human, and beautiful experience that you bring. I am grateful. Until next week, I'll see you on the other side, and know that you are loved. For more support, information, and inspiration, join me at awakeningtoyourstory.com.